Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So it's just me again, in between having arrived in Washington, D.C., checked into my hotel, and now getting ready to grab my things and head out to join an amazing group of professionals. So today, I have the honor and privilege of speaking on a topic that is built off of the TEDx that I did that came out last year. So last year in March, a TEDx that I had done or given a few months earlier came out and was released on YouTube. It actually opened up a lot of other doors because in that TEDx, I put out something that I have been working on, a framework that I use in my work, and integrate some of my personal experiences in basically making the argument that we have to begin to choose courage more in how we approach diversity and inclusion, equity, as well as combating things like racism and bias. So this organization, the Legal Council on Legal Diversity, reached out to me last year and said, hey, specifically Nicole reached out and said, I've seen this video and I would really love you to present this topic to our fellows. And as we started talking, she said, one of the things that would be interesting is if you approach this topic from the perspective of what we have to do when we are the recipient. So today I get to talk about something I'm passionate about and take the elements that I've laid out in terms of us choosing courage to interrupt on behalf of others, which work equally well for ourselves. But because I actually have today, this time, 2 hours to do a workshop, and the idea behind the workshop was not just to do the 1 hour presentation like we did last year, but to actually have a portion where we're role playing and we are working through common experiences. So we will work through Joan Williams's 4 patterns of gender bias. If you don't know what they are, Prove It Again, the tightrope, maternal wall, and the tug of war. Prove it again is where you have to keep doing things over and over. You always have to be perfect. We don't get to make mistakes, right? You've heard people talk about the presumption of competence and how others, women and minorities in particular, have to prove their competence over and over and over. Prove it again. The tightrope. Sheryl Sandberg talks a little bit about this in Lean In. She doesn't call it that, but Joan and her daughter call it the tightrope. And it's this concept that when the nicer women are, the less competent they're perceived. And the more successful women are, the more competent they are. The perception is they're not nice. Yes. And so women walk this tightrope of having to navigate both and having to be extra nice. In my experience, what I've seen is a niceness tax being applied towards women, and very severely so against Black women who also have to battle the stereotype of the angry Black woman. So we'll talk about things like microaggression. We will talk about things like the double whammy, that women of color face. We will talk about things like the Black tax and that emotional tax that people face. But then we will transition to things like authenticity. And let me tell you why I'm focusing on authenticity. I've been talking about authenticity now for quite a while, even before I moved in to diversity and inclusion, because it is such a core component of being able to live a full and beautiful and rich life. And for me, when I was still practicing, one of the things that I would say to myself is, I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror. I have to be able to look at myself and see someone that I am proud of and that I still hold in good regard. I would say to myself, there's a line that I will not cross, and I needed to know what that line is. And that's very much tied into what authenticity is about. Now, we know authenticity ties to so many things, your personal success and more. But in this workshop, I'm going to delve in to how it actually helps us navigate racism, bias, sexism, ableism, and other kinds of isms that we face. Just in terms of the clarity it provides and the ability to help us narrow down and be specific and articulate about where we're going, why we're going where we're going. We will unpack why it's important to talk about diversity at work even big issues, and to be able to discuss our experiences and to put that out in light. We will encourage a discussion around some of the experiences that others face, including our colleagues that are differently abled and our colleagues who are LGBT. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to tackle perfectionism. We're going to tackle what Brene Brown calls hustling for her worthiness. We're going to talk about what it means to unmask and how you can do that and how you can do that safely. And we're going to unpack what it is for us, even those of us on the receiving end, to engage with empathy and with curiosity, and also to have a mindset of courage. One that says we'll continue practicing and practicing until we get it right. So wish me luck. And I hope that this short video gave you some things to think about as well. And I'll keep you posted on how it goes, or maybe not. I think I owe you a video on how I'm doing with my LifeXD process on mindfulness and resilience. So I think that's the next video I owe you. Take care.